All right, so we're gonna get started shortly. All right, so good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for jumping in on our webinar. This webinar is on the subject of growing your business with software. We do this every month, and our hope is that we bring knowledge and we bring some education your way on growing your business with software. We do have 2 webinar series on a monthly basis, and so feel free to find information on our webinars. You can visit our webinar website. If you go to migroupco.com, just at the bottom, you can access our webinar portal, and you can watch any of these webinars that we would have recorded in the past. You have the ability to watch them at your own convenience. Today, we're going to be focusing on a topic that is a trend in our space, in the software space, and these webinars are going to be based on building with software. It's a series of webinars that we're going to be putting together to teach people how to build software with no code or very little code, probably no code at all, which is super exciting for the space, especially for people who want to build things but are not in a position to afford them. And so we have an expert, if you may, that has been with us for quite some years, and he's been really advocating for no-code software development, and we want to be able to give him an opportunity to speak to that. And I speak of no other than Pablo Velásquez, and he's going to be sharing with us today about how do we really build with no code. Before Pablo gets in, though, I just want to plug in for our upcoming webinars. We do have a few webinars that's coming up that you can feel free to be a part of. And our next webinar is coming up for software, is actually going to be coming up in December. On December 20th, we're going to be talking about how do you actually build the software tool with Bubble, which is one of the no-code software builder, in 45 minutes. So we have a team that's going to be showing you live how to actually do that. And I'm super excited for that. So we have shared the registration link in the chat. And if you can go ahead and use that registration link to register for the upcoming, for the next webinar. And then also on the 27th of December, which is happening next month as well, we're going to be doing a digital marketing 360 webinar that actually speaks to really how you conduct your 2023 digital audit. So we do 2 sets of webinars, one for digital marketing, one for software. And so coming up in December, we'll be talking about conducting digital audits. As a matter of fact, next week on the 6th of December, we will also be doing conducting Q3 digital audits, and that's going to be an interesting discussion. So we want to hand it over to Pablo now to present his presentation on the subject of how do we really build software with no code. So Pablo, I'm going to be putting it over to you.
Okay, thank you, Ricardo, for the invitation to be able to talk about this subject. First of all, I've been doing software regular coding for the last 17 years, and seeing how the market has evolved and how developer salaries have come up and the amount of people that we need, I've always asked myself, how will small businesses are going to be able to achieve the digital transformation with so much higher cost? And no code tools are showing us a way. They have a big solution, and that's what I want to focus the presentation on and show you why and how these tools are going to help companies. I'm going to get started. I have some of the videos that I want to present tools along the way, so I have them in different parts of the presentation, so I don't do it all together. And these videos will show some of these tools and the capabilities, and there are short videos made by the tools. So what we really see no code helping achieve is accelerated internal tools. So all companies have internal needs to do software. So either whether you have a process in the warehouse and you need to automate when the merchandise comes in and goes to shipping, or you have any process in the marketing department. All companies need to do internal tools to be better at what they do, to be more cost effective, to transform their processes. So this is where no code achieves a lot of success. Also, we do have examples in the presentation on how there have been companies that have been able to build big products, big SaaS products based on no code. So you can do both things, but we think they excel at the internal process creation of tools inside companies. So right now, when you think about current businesses, if current businesses don't evolve, if they don't digitalize, they're going to have an endpoint. They're going to die at some point. I don't know how many years a traditional business have left, but they need to have some capability. So we'll see, you're going to see in your business that when you deal with a new vendor, they're going to send you the information to integrate via API to send us their orders, or they want to integrate somehow with the systems. So we're seeing that business, they need to integrate with other companies. They need to consume APIs, even for things as simple as charging sales tax. So we know that in the US, all the countries have these sales tax, and the only real good way to do it is to consume an API to have all that information, and legislations are changing. So there are even simple things that we need to consume APIs. We need to start thinking about automation processes. How do we automate the process and require less human time, because it's more expensive? There's nothing more expensive than a person doing a process. We have now entering into an era of big data and machine learning, and there are new tools that are coming this way as well in no code that are going to help to achieve these things, this type of things. We have to create dashboards of information. The only way to really make good decisions is to have good information, and if we have dashboards of information on what's going on in our business, we're going to be able to create those decisions that are going to help our business move forward. So all these things, we need them, and at the end, we need a key capability to keep going, and is to experiment. And to experiment is to be able to create quickly stuff, to learn from what we have done, to move forward. So those are things that we really need to move forward on as companies on the years to come. But the big question is how, when, how do we do it? You know, we are a small company, we're a medium company, we don't have a CTO, we don't have a clue how to do software development. How do we get started? How do we, I mean, we know we need software, but how do we get started with the processes? So first of all, traditional software development is expensive. It's robust, but it's expensive. It's a complex process. Talent is worldwide. There is not a country that is not looking for tech talent. All the countries need talent. A regular salary in the US, average salary between 120K and in South America, 80K. So even if we outsource, if we hire a developer in South America, it's still not something that is that cost efficient, but it's robust. So I'm not going to say it's not the way to do it. Software development is very complex, but it's very robust. But there is alternative to go on the no code. Something that we also have to deal when we do traditional software development is cloud infrastructure. So we have to think about Amazon, Azure, all these cloud providers. Maintaining, managing them, it's also come at a cost. And when we talk about no-code tools, they already involve that. And we can always outsource, but the benefit of outsourcing is limited. It's ideal for a company to have its own internal capability of development, to have someone that knows the business, that knows the project, and is always there working on this. And no-code gives us a big promise. The promise of no code is that you can do 10 times the tools that you were able to build on no code with traditional code. It's very important to remember that digital transformation starts with a mindset, starts with understanding that we need to do things digital and how to do it, but then we have to implement the tools. And no code gives us a good promise that with less talent, with less training, we can start doing tools. We can do a lot of that in 10 times, and we have seen it. We have done it on different projects. We have seen with a small team, we have been able to do projects that we rebuild, that we did over the amount of years, and we rebuild in 4 months. So we have seen the promise come true. By the way, if you have questions along the way, put them on the chat, or ask the question. We'll make it more interesting by having a conversation. So I'm going to show the first video, and Bubble is the tool that we're going to use in the next webinar. This is a short video of them, less than 2 minutes, to see how they work.
Welcome to Bubble, a visual programming language that lets you build web applications without code. With Bubble, you can build anything, such as a marketplace, a social network, or even a CRM, all without the endless setup traditional programming frameworks require. In this series, we're going to learn Bubble from the beginning. We're going to walk through how it works and help you build the foundation for your application. Let's get started. First, navigate to My Applications and click New App. Make sure to give it a unique name. You can optionally fill out more info here or start from a predefined template. For this example, we'll just hit Create. When you make a new Bubble application, the assistant will appear. This will guide you through some common setup functions that we'll go through step by step. The first is the title of our application, as it appears in the tab of our browser. By default, it is our unique app name that we already filled in, so we'll leave it there. You can also change the primary language for your application, which will reflect in emails that your app would send, date formats, and other communications. You can drop the list down to see all the currently supported languages or request to add more. Next, if you have a favicon, the little icon next to the title in the tab of your browser, you can upload it now. You can always come back to this later though, so for now we'll just click Next. Here you can install plugins from Bubble's plugin ecosystem to extend the functionality of your app if you had one in mind. Lastly, if your app will be connecting to any external APIs, Bubble's API connector allows for just that. You can install it as a plugin from this screen. And that's it. Your Bubble application is set up and ready to go. In the next lesson, we are going to learn about the editor and how to preview your new app.
Okay, that was a very quick overview of Bubble. We think Bubble is one of the most powerful no-code tools there is right now, and that's why we're focusing the next webinar on Bubble. One of the things I talked before is servers. So Bubble and most of the no-code tools, they charge a monthly fee. In this case, a personal one is $29 per month or $129, but you don't have to worry about anything else, right? We don't have to worry about uploading to a server and thinking about all these infrastructures that you usually have to think when you do traditional software development. So we're gonna, in the next webinar, we're gonna do drag and drop. We're gonna be building, you saw the interface of how things look in a no-code app, and this is how they work. Basically, we use a website. We don't even have to download software on most of them. We can use the website and then start drag and dropping components. Of course, we do need to learn to do the course at the university, but once we learn that, it's very easy to build stuff. Something very important is that where the world is moving. You know, Gartner just released a new update where they say by 2024, 80% of the software that's going to be developed is going to be done outside the IT department. That means non-software developers, people that have not studied to do software, are going to be building the applications that come next. And 80% of the enterprise software is going to be built in no-code and low-code tools. So it's a big change on how we're building software. And it's not sustainable to keep building software only the traditional way. We do need these tools. I do think personally that we as software developers, we need to focus on creating tools for all the regular employees or all the non-code developers, which are called citizen developers, and I'll talk about in a future slide. They can't start building the tools. With the tools we give them as software developers, we have to provide the data that they can see, the company data. We have to focus on that. But then all the regular people, all traditional, other professionals, right? People that know data, people that know finances, people that know other stuff, that they can have the vision to build tools using no code. So we do believe that, and Gartner says, and all the companies are telling us, this is where the world is moving right now. We're moving to build most of the solution with no code. So this is a big term, and it's called citizen developer. It's defined as an employee with no low coding knowledge who creates software applications for the team or others using low code or no code platforms without the involvement of IT. Citizen developer is a persona, it's not a role. So they build apps in runtime environments that IT approves. So ideally, we have someone in IT that they approve that we can use Bubble or that we can use an app that connects somehow. They give us some basic information, but then we can give our business administrator, we can give our finance professionals, we can give the knowledge, the tools, and they can become a citizen developer. So they didn't go to school to learn software, but they can use the tools using their knowledge in their area to build what the company needs. And they are the best people to know what to build, people that are already involved in a company, involved in internal department, the best people to build the tools that a company needs. So look more into citizen developer. This is what we're seeing. So a citizen developer has a flow. Usually there is an idea, right? There is an idea in the company, there is a need. The department, the internal department or the CTO or the CIO, they have a need for the company. So they come to a citizen developer. The need is identified on a no-code solution. The IT department approve or disapprove the no-code solution. It's important to know that we're having a standard on the company that is defined. And then the typical citizen developer publishes the app. And as a regular process, like we do software development, but we don't have to be as strict on the planning and all that's required usually. I'm going backwards. Okay, so why should you invest in citizen developer? Well, first, one of the big advantages is reducing the IT backlog. So let's say you do have a software development department or your company, or you have a company that's doing software projects for you. Usually there are a lot of tasks that they have on the backlog, and you are coming every week with new tasks. And this department, they have to juggle all the tasks. So by having no code, you can take away some of those tasks. So not everything is meant for low code, not everything is meant for no code, but most things can be done. And the IT department and the software development, they can focus on the more complex stuff and leave the user interfaces, the forms, all these things, they can give it to the citizen developers. And this will reduce cost effective. Not only the salaries are going to be lower, since you can do things 10 times, then the cost savings are exponential. You can start doing a lot of things for a lower budget, or do a lot more with the same budget. Building up faster. You can build in 1 week a lot that will take on traditional software development. So this allows you to iterate. This allows you to, as I mentioned before, to make experiments. If you're able to build solutions in 1 week, so if you're trying to improve a flow on the warehouse and you're able to in 1 week to implement a new process, and you can test it. You can see if the process works, and then you can see how it has affected your business. So if the new process has improved the quality of the merchandise that's being received by the warehouse, for example, then you can make adjustments and keep improving. So quick iterations allow you to experiment. At the end, if you're able to build apps faster, if you're able to experiment, you will be able to increase your efficiency. And something that I like a lot is that you will empower your team. You will empower your people. They know they have the power to do stuff, and they will start proposing. If they know they can build a tool, they will start proposing. I think I can do this process better. I think we can do this process. Let's do it this way. So the empowerment will move your business forward. Okay, I want to show you another video now. The Flutter Flow. This one is to do mobile development. What I like at this video that they touch some points of building stuff without no code, more than the tool.
Hey Google I/O, I'm Abel.
And I'm Alex.
Today, we're excited to announce Flutter Flow, a low-code tool for building Flutter apps all in your browser. Our goal is to give Flutter developers superpowers. Flutter Flow lets you build apps faster, easier, and with less code. We built all of this thanks to the power of Flutter Web, and we're excited to give you a sneak peek.
So first, we're going to start by showing you an app we built in Flutterflow called FlutterMet. FlutterMet lets you search for art exhibits at the world-famous Metropolitan Museum of Art by title or department, and keeps track of your favorite exhibits or those you want to check out. As you can see, my collection currently needs some love. Let's do a quick search and see what we get. So I can tap on a search result, see a preview of the exhibit, and also view all the information about the exhibit. I'll add this artwork to my collection. Now, let's go back to the home screen and check out my favorite department and show. So since this is pretty much the coolest chair I've ever seen, I'll also add it to my collection. Now I'll go to my collections page and verify that all of my favorites are there. So now we've shown you FlutterMet, we'd like you to guess how long it took to build in Flutterflow. So all of this took one of us less than 1 hour to build, end to end. To see the entire process, check out our YouTube video on the Flutterflow channel called Building FlutterMet. Now, let's take a look at the project in Flutterflow.
As all tools, there is a promise to do things quickly. We have to warn, you can do it that quick, but you have to, of course, know the tool, have the regular learning curve that we will have on anything. But once you have the learning curve, you will be able to start building things this fast. And as they say, they want to give the power to developers to build quickly. And many businesses need mobile apps, so this is a very good option for mobile apps. There are many tools in the market to do no code. We're focusing on the ones that we think are the best, are the most known. But there are, of course, even the way no code is moving, it's moving into the niche markets. We're starting to see, for example, tools to build bots for WhatsApp and these chats. So the more they specialize, the more they help customers. So you can start, if you have a niche, you can Google and you probably can find a no-code tool for your business. So what we think and what we see that a citizen developer needs, so we do need to train, right? We cannot just tell anybody, okay, go and build a tool. You need to learn something, to study a little bit and start training, and then we can empower a citizen developer. We do need to understand concepts of UI, UX, and there are many courses online. So we do need to understand if we put together a form, what's the best way someone can fill it, what are the best color to use. Those are things that we need someone to know to be able to do the stuff. Database concepts, of course, we need to understand how to store data, the best way to store data. Data management, understand security practices, know that you don't store social security numbers without encrypting them, or even better, you try not to store social security numbers or credit card numbers, things like that. And it's, as an extra, if you have some basic programming logic, it's good, but it's not required. We have seen people in 4 months gain all the skills required to start building good no-code solutions. So it's not a long process. You do have to dedicate your time, but you can do it in 4 months. And the codes we recommend are knowing Bubble or Project Flow, which is showed, Airtable, Zapier, and Google Data Studio. Those are the ones we're focusing on right now, which are the ones that will help you build good stuff and integrate different tools. So Webflow works for creating websites. Let's see Webflow video.
Over the last 10 years, responsive web design has changed how we create for the web. And the things we design have exploded in complexity. Most of today's websites and apps are now connected with dynamic content that lives in a database. Yet the tools we use to design have been stuck in the past, which has forced us to hire a developer or write complex code just to bring our ideas to life. Webflow is the world's first design platform that integrates live data into an intuitive visual interface, completely removing the need to write code. It's called data-driven design. And all you have to do is tell Webflow the structure of the content you care about, whether it's blog posts, real estate listings, products you sell, or anything else you can think of. Then you create custom designs to fit your dynamic data, with pixel-perfect variations for every resolution. So when you, your team, or your client changes the underlying data, every part of every design linked to that data changes automatically across every device. Under the hood, Webflow creates a hosted database for you, writes all the code to link it to your designs, and automatically generates a CMS so you can quickly edit your content. Now you can create powerful websites quickly without anything getting in your way. Only with Webflow.
So we want to build a website to have information that we want to enter in an admin. Webflow is a very good solution. I was just actually yesterday doing a blog functionality where I quickly created a data source of posts and then linked it to a website, and it didn't take me a lot to do. So as mentioned, every tool has a focus. Webflow has been growing a lot. You can drag and drop, select colors, change styles, and easily create new parts of information that you can have your team upload. So either whether it's blog posts or real estate listings, as the video showed, or anything your company does, is a great tool to show data and content to customers. So this one is not so much about internal processes as the other ones. This one is really external, more focused on your customers. So to compare traditional development with no-code development, we have seen that if you want to do an MVP with some good functionality on traditional software development, it can take 6 to 12 months, and on no-code, it can really take 1 to 4 weeks development cycle. Once you know the tools, you know what you're doing, you can really take all this. On traditional software, we have high salaries. We have the high employee rotation because of all salaries as the way it's moving. We are going through a winter right now. In the startup, we see the layout going on right now on Facebook and all these companies that are laying people, developers, but many of them still have very high salaries, and it's hard to get them. So it's still very expensive to software development, and the rotation is high. The cloud infrastructure, it's complex to manage, and usually bigger teams are needed. When you do traditional software development, you need to have a front-end developer, you need to have a back-end developer, and you need to have a DevOps role. So usually you need at least a team of 3. In no-code, you can start with 1 person, and ideally 2 or 3 can give you something very big. Quick deployment, so in 1 week iterations, you get a lot of functionality, smaller teams, quick training, and no coding skills. So your current citizen developers can do no code and can do a lot of the tools that you need, that your company needs. Not all of them, but probably 80% of the tools that you need to build can be built without an issue on no code. And some things can be complemented, right? We have done development where 95% has been on the no-code platform, and then we did a little bit of coding for something that was intensive, computer intensive. So we have to do an algorithm to assign tables and do a lot of logic. Then we did a little piece of coding on server on Amazon, and then the rest was done on Bubble. So if you understand how what we can do with the tool, we are able to understand the limits, and up to one point we can take it. So basically, the no-code platform help us to build websites, dashboards, CRMs, ERPs, any type of tool, and to integrate with third-party integration processes to automate, as we have seen also in the videos. Zapier is very important. This is a tool that is still considered a no-code tool. It's more a web app where we can integrate different APIs. So an API is the way that modern tools communicate. We can go to many websites like eBay, for example, or Amazon, and many websites, they give us an API. So if we sell merchandise on Amazon and eBay, we can subscribe for the API, and we can connect and get, for example, our sales and import the sales that we sell on Amazon to go to our warehouse. Or if we're sending to FBI and we need to return merchandise, we can get the FBI merchandise returns. And then one way to do it is to use Zapier if we don't really know how to consume APIs. And Zapier help us connect different tools. So we can connect our Bubble tool with any API that Zapier has, and Zapier has a ton of APIs. Or we can connect just our Google Docs API with our eBay API, and we can have a script that downloads our orders into our Google Docs. And this is by joining points of data.
The idea behind Zapier is simple. A zap is made up of two parts, a trigger and an action. A zap can only have one trigger that starts it. Think of a trigger as telling the zap when to begin doing something. We all have everyday tasks we need to do, like checking email or responding to feedback. Whatever that recurring task is, you can have Zapier remind you with our Schedule app. An action is a task that a zap performs after it's triggered. So while the trigger tells a zap when to do something, the action is what the zap actually does. And a zap can have as many actions as you need. If you're like me, you spend most of your day in Slack, so that's where you want the reminder to go. These two pieces create a zap, which are workflows that connect your apps and perform those repetitive and routine work. That's just one way Zapier can do work for you. There are a lot of other workflows, we call them zaps, that can save you time.
So one zap I did a couple of months ago was to connect to an API, some service that we purchased that gave us leads. So some different companies leads, and we had a marketing campaign on another software that was running. So the software was downloaded leads to a Google spreadsheet, and someone was looking into the spreadsheet to validate how good the lead was to do a campaign, but everything was automated due to a zap. I didn't have to do a single line of coding to integrate that. It was all being able to do it using Zapier and without, of course, hiring a software developer to do it. There are some success cases now of not internal tools. So when I said at the beginning, there are companies that have used mainly Bubble, but they have used all the other no-code tools to build big softwares. So if you go to Inc., you can go and check income.co. They're a big financial system, and this is a picture of the database. So they say they build it in 12 to 15 weeks. They build their MVP, and basically they are connecting account manager, bank accounts, are doing a lot of information transactions and connecting to a lot of financial institutions. All that with no Bubble, with no code, with Bubble tool. So a lot of big tools are being done this way. Vlango, they are used to teach languages. They have a base of 100,000 users. They still use Bubble. They are doing about like $300,000 of revenue by selling languages courses. They're selling different languages, and they mentioned they build it quick, and they still support a lot of users. So they still use Bubble. They haven't done traditional coding. They haven't merged, and they start supporting 100,000 users. So this is to show that the platform is robust, that it can accept also a lot of traffic. We can also do tools that are for the public, and our SaaS tools, we can validate our projects. Now we have Strabo, so there are financial as well. They are showing you how to invest your money. They're looking into different investments. They have a dashboard of how your money is doing. You invest internationally. So they also are connecting a lot of data sources, and they also have a lot of users. They actually have 3 tools. So they use Bubble, Webflow, and Airtable. And it's a good thing about no-code. We are able to integrate different tools to create amazing stuff. So our imagination is a limit where we can understand how we can integrate one tool with another, how we can use Zapier, how we can use the APIs, and build different stuff. And The icing on the cake is data, right? As mentioned before, you need good data to make good decisions. And this is where business intelligence comes in. And there are good tools for business intelligence. There is Microsoft Power BI, Tableau, and Google give us a free tool, which is called Google Data Studio. This is a very good tool. And if we, let's say, put together a no-code tool. I'm going to say again on the example of the warehouse, right? That we are receiving a lot of packages from the warehouse, a lot of merchandise. We have data points, right? So when a package comes to the warehouse, we scan it, we see the token that it comes in, we scan the products, and let's say we have bad products. We're going to focus on the products that are broken, and we'll start moving the products on one side, but we have the data. On Bubble, we can expose the data with an API as well. So we can also create an API ourselves and give that endpoint to the team that is doing data information. They can consume the information and they can build a dashboard to show how many products are coming per hour, per day that are broken that we have to return. Maybe we have a provider that is not being good, so we have to change the provider or talk to the provider to fix the process because it's a financial issue. So we can give the data to people that know how to use the dashboard, that will learn about the tool. Usually these are finance people that have learned how to use the data, and they build excellent dashboards.
Google Data Studio, a free dashboarding software made for marketers who need to report data frequently. For you, it might be easy to slice and dice data in Google Analytics or Facebook Ads Manager, but for your clients, oftentimes, they just want to have a short report. Do you give them access to Google Analytics? These tools can be quite overwhelming if you don't work in Google Analytics all the time. With Google Data Studio, you can simply connect your data sources like Google Analytics, Google Ads, or Facebook Ads and update them automatically. Once connected, you can visualize the data on a canvas. Just drag and drop your preferred chart onto it and configure it to show exactly what you want. Then you can style your dashboard and also build in drop-down and filters to make your dashboard interactive. Since all the setup work is done in a browser, you don't have to do it alone. Invite your colleagues to help out and collaborate on your dashboard. Once you're satisfied with your creation, you can share it easily in a few steps. You can either send out a version of your dashboard via email with a PDF download, or give your clients access to the online version, which is always automatically kept up to date. The best part is your client won't even necessarily need access to the data source themselves, but will be able to view the data through your account. Now, obviously, there's way more functionality to get more sophisticated with your data, such as custom functions to manipulate your data, a data blending feature to combine your data sources into one, and very powerful connectors such as the one to BigQuery to extract data from your data warehouse. This has been Google Data Studio in 100 seconds. If you want to get a bigger, broader overview over this tool, click on this video where we show you a little bit more around and set up your first dashboard. Or if you really want to dive into Google Data Studio and learn it from the ground up, check out our beginner's course right over there. Now, my name is Julian. Till next time.
So they focused the example on Google Analytics, but it's basically another source of data. We can plug in any source of data into Google Data Studio and play with the data. So we can give our CEO or CTO tools to play with the data, to change how the graphics move, to create their own graphics. They know how to work with data. Usually a CFO, usually someone that has gone to school for this type of things, they know how to play with it. We just have to make it accessible for them. So we can create our no-code tool in the business and provide the data that they need, whichever is the process. And so we can create tools and for a low cost, very, very efficient. That's where I finish my presentation. I once again make the invitation to next month webinar where we're going to build something in 45 minutes. And I'm here we have time to answer questions, Ricardo.
Awesome. No, that was fantastic. Thank you so much, Pablo. We feel free to put your questions in the chat if you have any. I think this was really magnificent, just to show you as you think of your business and just think of how do you grow, how do you plan for the next year, what sort of development and progress you want to actually make. No code is something to think about, because oftentimes as small business owners, pricing is important. What does something cost is an important factor to us. And so really having an option like a no code when you're thinking about building a tool or building a system, improving a process within your organization, you can really lean into the options or no code, so you can get things done faster. You can get things done on a budget and grow your business. So thank you so much for sharing that. I've actually just thought about some questions, and while folks might be thinking about questions, and they can put in the chat. So one thing that you talked about for me was just sort of how much time it took one sort of when you hire a software development team to build a software. So we build software, for those folks who are on the call who doesn't know, for MI Group, we have a software division and we build custom software. And so we know when we scope out a software project, because we do very often, it can take you 6 to 12 months to actually get that done. Sometimes the cost can be 75,000, 100,000. It can be a lot of money for a lot of people. Particularly if they're not earning this kind. And if you're starting up, the options of, okay, you can actually do this on a no-code platform like Bubble or any of the Webflow, etc., and you build there. Talk to me a little bit about sort of what are some of the disadvantages that small businesses will face if they go the route of, okay, I'm not going to hire developers or a developing team to write my codes from scratch. What are my disadvantages if I go the route of, say, I'm going to use one of these platforms to build my application?
Okay, so one of the things that we promote a lot of Bubble is one of the questions that I always ask myself. Okay, what happens? I depend on a third party, right? What happens if this business closes? What's going to happen with my app? So we promote Bubble because they have a promise that they're going to be open source. And then if they open source, we need to run on our server. So there's always the one of the disadvantages. We are dependent on a third party, right? And we have to make sure the business is going well, because even if they become open source, we're going to have an issue. So we're going to have to deal, how do we run this? So question is it going to help my business in the next years? Yes. Is it an acceptable risk? Yes. Do we think, or is not acceptable risk? So we have to think about the risk. That's the main disadvantage, I think. And then we have to understand there are limits, right? There are limits where this may start getting costly. Sometimes if we're gonna have a lot of users, a lot of 100,000 of users. We have seen examples that they're working with 100,000 of users, but we have to still improve the way things are done. So there's a point that it makes more sense to do traditional software. And as mentioned, it makes a lot of sense to mix both of them. In the example that we did a tool that was doing business matchmaking. So we did all the interface to create the businesses, all the interface to create the appointments on Bubble, but then we have to do an algorithm to actually assign the tables. And that took a lot of time to do in Bubble. It wasn't good. It wasn't the best thing to do it. So we went and did a function in coding where we assigned the table. So understanding the limits where we can scale or not scale and how much it's going to cost us. So one of the way these tools charge is they charge by instance. So how much computing power something that we create cost us is how they charge us. And the only way that we're able to know is to build our application and see how we start costing. And the more users we bring to it, they're going to tell us, look, your server is running low, you need to add more. And that's usually $30 per instance that we have to add per month. And that's the other reason, understanding the cost is only possible by building and optimizing. Because if we don't create the data the good way, then we're going to have higher cost.
Yeah. No, that's very interesting. And we see a question in here we're going to get to in a second, but I also want to make sure that we understand these are decisions that you may need help to make. All right, these are decisions that you may need to talk with an expert, to talk with specialists to be able to make those decisions. And so, if you are interested in having a conversation with us, we'll be sharing, for example, or contacts in the chat that you can reach out. You can schedule a discovery session to talk about your idea of building a software, improving a system, creating something, and you're essentially start there and wonder if we can actually do this with no code. Now, I can't imagine anything that you potentially can't do at a no code, even if you have to start there. And in my experience, we always tell people that, listen, if you're just starting out, don't try to get to the moon on day one, at least try to get to the space station, right? At least try to get a suit on, right? Don't try to knock out the big thing right all of a sudden. So you really want to be in a position to start from scratch and work your way up. And a lot of times a lot of the apps in the App Store, a lot of the software that we see out there, they don't have any users. Nobody's using them. And people have invested money, like thousands and thousands, hundreds of thousands probably, to build these systems, and they're not attracting any user. So you want to be smart about this. And if you go the route where you do no code, you really want to be in a position to ensure that you're doing this at that bootstrap sort of level, if you may, that as you invest in this in the most conscious way possible with your dollars, you want to make sure you have users who can really help you to build up before you go and even hire developers. So again, it's not for everybody, but if you have the resource, if you have the ability to build something by hiring developer and build custom code from scratch, then that would be something that you can consider. But no code is really for the small business person who really can't afford to hire these developers, pay these high salaries, pay these high costs to really get things done, but they can really invest in building something at the no code level. It doesn't mean that you will be involved. Of course, you can go ahead and do it yourself, which is the beauty of the no code. But if you want to focus on running your business and you have a small team, it's not going to cost you. The comparative is different. And we see in the chat here, in terms of scalability, Pablo, what are the risks of using no code versus just kind of regular software development?
Before I answer Andres' question, just to complement on what you said, ideally, we can help you bring a team of experts that already know no code and become part of your company, right? Be full-time dedicated to help your company move forward. They will learn what your company is doing, and they have already the knowledge to do good no-code tools. So it's actually the best of all things, right? Get an external company that knows how to do the tools, integrate with your company to understand your business needs, and go work day-to-day with you. So that's something we can help you achieve. So in terms of scalability, there is no doubt that you can build traditional software to be more scalable, and we see all of the big tools online that are building traditional software, but it's more complex and more expensive. While we can do a lot more with traditional software, to really build a scalable software, we're going to have good people with good experience on databases, on servers, and that's going to cost more. So if you're building a product that we need customers and we try to validate, as Ricardo said, and we don't have to build up to the moon to validate, we can build a solution first on no code, and at some point evaluate if you're building, if we have traction, if we have sales, if it's a good point to keep working with our no-code solution. We have seen examples that are doing it, or we are at a point that we have to redo it on traditional software, but we already have money, we already have traction, we already know what we're building in traditional software is going to have a result, and then we can make that investment. And this is where no-code helps us a lot, but to validate and then decide if we continue this route or we change.
Awesome, amazing. That's a great answer. If you have any questions that's coming up to mind, then feel free to put in the chat. We have just a few more minutes before we jump off here. We're just going to hang out for a little bit more. One of the other questions I had, though, is as we think about the kind of small businesses that are out there and the ones that we're essentially serving, I'm thinking about restaurant owners, I'm thinking about cleaning companies, we're thinking about attorneys and medical professionals, doctors, and we're thinking about just consultants, financial consultants, accounting. As we think about those folks, the requirements that they typically have are not massive requirements, and they're not looking to build a Facebook, or they're not necessarily looking to build a Uber. Well, it depends on which restaurant you talk to. He might want to build a Uber for his suite or restaurant, etc. But what are some of the things that we've seen people trying to build across these different verticals that I just mentioned in the small business community?
Okay, so as a business owner, the first question I need to ask myself is if I think there is a digital solution for my problem. I first have to look into the current solutions, the SaaS products, right? This is the first step. So there are many SaaS products for all industries, but they don't always work for my case, right? I can have special conditions, but I have to evaluate first and evaluate how they work. Some of them build per user, and I might have a lot of employees for a process that might not be cost effective. Some of them might be very good. So there are some delivery tools that work. So if I already evaluated those tools, this is the first point, and this is where a professional can also help you understand if you're better off using an existing tool or building your own tool. So let's say we have decided now this tool is too expensive for my use. I only need 5% of the functions that they offer me, and they're charging me for 100% of what they do. So I'm going to focus on what I need to be, because I have custom processes. We have used it to do a lot of different stuff. So we have used it to do ERPs. So all the process that is in a company, especially when we have to talk about warehouses and sales and marketing and entering sales. So we need to, let's say we have to onboard new customers. And usually when you onboard new customers, there is a big form that you have to ask staff. You have to have their sales history. You have to ask for reference. You have to ask for a lot of stuff. And usually that's a living form. Usually when your business is always living, you have to make changes to the form. And what better than to send your customer the form to fill it out? And even better, if you need to update information, to only send in the form with the information already filled in, so they don't have to fill all the information again. So this is one type of usage, right? Getting information from customers, or showing customers the process of the orders. We're sending orders to customers. They want to know the order already shipped, they leave the warehouse. We can do something simple that when the box goes out of the warehouse, you have scan and it updates the process, and then the customer can have the update of where it's going. So to update customers and to do internal processes, they're very good tools to use.
Yeah, no, amazing. And that's great. And as you think about those, these are ideas too. So we've had businesses who come to us and say that, they know they need a solution. They just don't know what exactly they need. And so a lot of times it's really sort of really understanding what is the business, what is it that you are looking to achieve over the next 12 months, over the next 3 years, over the next 5 years. How are you envisioning this business to grow? What's the vision? Because a lot of times it's all about intake, right? This is about data. Data is the new gold, as they say, and data has to be received, and then data is manipulated or utilized and then analyzed and create strategies around. So there's a lot around sort of how do you really, how are you taking this data? How are you receiving the data? Where are you receiving it? How? And you can build applications just for that piece there. But it doesn't matter what business you're in, by the way. I mean, you could sell, if you sell cleaning products or a pin, or you sell a helicopter, every business has to deal with data, because this is a fundamental part of business. Like anyone who is shopping for a product or a service, like you have to collect information, right? And so how you collect that and what you do with that, and how you reflect that. So there's input, output happening all the time across all business. So you have to ask yourself, what am I looking to streamline? What am I looking to make better, to make it faster, to make it work easier for my customers, for my teams, for the entire organization? And those answers could be solved with these kinds of no-code solutions that we talked about today. So that's super exciting, right?
And there is a big risk for many companies. A lot of companies already have a lot of data. Right? You have the Pulse software that is getting all the purchases. They have a lot of data, but they're doing nothing with it. Is data being stored? That's the biggest waste you could have, right? What are you going to do with the data? If you have orders coming in, you can see, okay, how long is it taking to have a customer to make an order? How long is it taking to reorder a product? There's a lot of things you can have the data, but the worst thing you can do is not doing anything with the data, right? It's just keeping it stored.
Yeah, this is that's the worst thing you can do with data, is to keep it. You need to keep that data active, right? If it's the new goal, it needs to evaluate, and it needs to evaluate and grow, appreciate on its own. Thank you so much. This is exciting. Coming up in next month, we're actually going to do a live, right, which I'm super exciting about. This is going to be a live demonstration of how in 45 minutes, in 45 minutes, we're going to build an application right before your eyes using the no code, so you can actually see how this is done. You want to invite folks who you think this would be beneficial from. We'd share the link in the chat. I don't know if you guys are seeing it, but maybe Janae, you could share the link again. Please register to participate in that. We're going to use Bubble, and our team is going to be here to work with using Bubble to build this out. So Alexandra and William, who is a part of our no-code, low-code development team, and they're going to be going through in 45 minutes, how do you build this? And if you have any questions, if you have an idea that you think could help to improve your business, if you're struggling with anything from a software perspective the best thing that you can do for yourself is have a conversation. Have a conversation with someone. It doesn't have to be us, but have a conversation to begin that process. And we're saying that, hey, we're here. If you actually need to have a conversation with us, you can do that via our calendar. Schedule something. We can talk about it. We'll listen to you. We'll hear you out. And then we can suggest ways and means to solve those problems. A lot of times you might not even need to get a new system built. The system might already exist. You may just not know about it, right? These software as a service, SaaS products, there's so many of them that are out there to solve different problems. So chances are, if you have the problem, chances are somebody else might already have a solution for that, because problems they're common, right? They are like virus. It affects a lot of different people. And if you're the only one with the problem, that could be a problem, right? But the idea that your problem expands beyond just your business into other businesses, that's something that we can also discuss with you and help you to think about how do you really address that. So feel free to use the calendar. So thank you so much for hopping in. Thank you so much for participating. We will be seeing you on December 20th. Mark your calendar, go ahead and register and sign up here. This is going to benefit you if you're here. Going into that webinar is going to be fantastic, because now you have a background, you have a little bit of information to work with, and then we'll be able to go through live and build something for you. Remember, if you're interested in marketing, next week we have a marketing webinar that's going to help you to conduct your Q3 digital audit. I mean, Q3 is what ended in September, but it's there are a lot of people who have not really kind of figured out where things are at from marketing standpoint. You want to be a part of that webinar as well. So feel free to register for that. And I know, Janae, if you can share the link in there. So we are sharing so much information with you because we love to do that. We love to keep you abreast, keep you updated on what's going on in our world. So thank you so much for joining. Until next time, please enjoy your week, enjoy your day, and we will see each other in another webinar soon.
Thank you, Ricardo. We want to impress you in 1 month. We want you to say, wow, I can build this in 45 minutes. Then what can we do for our business? All my ideas that I have. That's what we want to do in 1 month, impress you. So we're welcome in 1 month to be impressed.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right.
Thank
you,
you,
everyone. All right. Have a good day.